The deputy chairman of the panel which is reviewing the HS2 high-speed rail project, having been commissioned by the government to do so, says he's found overwhelming evidence that his costs are out of control. Lord Berkeley suggests it will take £108 billion to complete the network, triple the very original estimate back in 2010 and certainly double that in 2015. HS2 Limited says it's determined to deliver value for money. Lord Berkeley is with me now. Good morning to you. Thanks very much for coming into the studio. You're a railway man, so you understand the industry. What's wrong with HS2 in your judgment?
Well, the estimating has been wrong, and I believe that HS2 knew a long time ago, and ministers knew probably 5 years ago, that the cost and the budget was much higher than they'd said and much higher than Parliament had approved as part of the Phase 1 legislation. But they've chose to cover it up by multiple NDAs and denials and everything until the new chairman of HS2 produced what he called his stocktake report earlier this year, which put the cost up to 88 billion, which is halfway between the figures you quoted. I think it's 107 now, and it probably will go even higher than that.
Is some of that explicable by simply delays? So that because it's taken longer than planned, that automatically pushes up some of the costs?
I would say very little is caused by delays. But what the real cause is, it's been over-designed. You do not need to go 400 kilometres an hour or even 360 in a country as small as ours. Nobody else in the world does it, maybe in China, but nobody else does it.
This is a very big country by contrast.
It's a very big country, and quite honestly, the higher the speed, it makes a big difference on the cost. Obviously, you have to have a straight line. They have to go in a straight line because trains don't like going around corners fast. But it's also the construction, the type of construction, whether it's ballast and things like that. It does make a great difference to the cost, which I don't think was taken into account. Somebody should have said, you don't need to go this speed. Cut it down to the normal TGV speed, if you like, or even lower.
In terms of how this project came about, its gestation was quite complicated. Of course, then fell between the Labour government who originally proposed it or accepted the suggestion of having HS2, then the incoming coalition government, now a succession of Conservative governments. Politically, too many people have too much at stake, don't they, for it to be completely cancelled?
Well, there's a lot of people who've got politics at stake on this, including the predecessor ministers, some of whom you mentioned. However, there's an awful lot of other politicians who are dead against it, partly because of the cost. I mean, £107 billion on one railway project. You know, how does it compare with aircraft carriers or hospitals? I mean, we can debate all that. But the other problem is other railways are much more important to be improved, in particular in the north, between Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, and places beyond, and around Birmingham, Nottingham, around there. That's where the really bad quality railways are, and it stops people commuting. And
that's why the Trans-Pennine Express presumably is not that express, because of the difficulty of the track.
It's not that express, but it needs to be. They need to be reasonably fast trains, not 400 kph though. But they also need to have slower trains for stopping trains and freight, and all that needs to be done. And it can be done at a cost probably of half the cost of HS2.
So, politically, your argument is the existing project, well, your argument in practical terms and financially is not working, too expensive for what we're going to get. Politically, there is a way around this, isn't there, that could allow the government to preserve the name HS2, but in reality just go for those key bits in the north of England.
Well, they want to go for the key bits and they want to add on the other bits which need to be done to give a really good network, rather like you have around London actually. Whether it's called HS2, I think that's the wrong name. The name is not good at the moment. They've done some bad things, I believe, with some of the staff and with other things over the year. They spent a lot of money and they haven't kept control. And it doesn't need to be high speed to get from your commuter service. You want a reliable, frequent service on which you can get a seat.
Lord Berkeley, Labour peer and deputy chairman of, or whatever title they go, vice chairman for this
Former,
because
yes.
your contract was not renewed.
Quite.
And obviously you're dissenting from the main report, which we do not know when it's yet going to be published.
Well, my report is out today.
Yes, but it's here and it's available, but the main one?
We don't know. You'll have to ask the Department of Transport.
We'll look forward to that. Lord Berkeley, thank you very much.